Today on the podcast, we are talking about QuantHealth, which is bringing its AI-informed clinical drug trials to the US, and they have just announced that they are doing a $15 million Series A. So today on the podcast, we're going to be diving into what they're spending the money on, what they're doing, and why I think this may be a very interesting company to watch in the future. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Welcome to the AI Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. I need to ask you for a big favor. Believe it or not, we have around 92,000 people that listen to this podcast every month, which is absolutely amazing. But when you go to our Apple Podcast or Spotify pages, we only have around 110 reviews total. If you could do me a massive favor and give this podcast a review, I would be super, super grateful. Every time I contact an incredible founder or CEO in AI, they look at the podcast, they look at how many reviews I have, and that helps me to get better guests on the show. So if you could do a huge favor to myself and also yourself, go to the Apple Podcast or the Spotify page, wherever you listen to this, and give a review of the show. If you've noticed lately, I've been doing interviews with some really phenomenal CEOs. I have some more amazing ones coming up in the coming weeks with some CEOs that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars for their AI startups. I want to bring these to you and I want to get more of those. So please drop a review, go to your wife's account, go to your husband's account, go to your kid's account and leave a review. I don't care. Help us get more reviews, and I promise I will help bring some amazing AI entrepreneurs and guests onto the show. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. The first thing I want to talk about here is the fact that biotech, pharmaceutical, and life science companies are all right now hoping that AI is going to streamline drug development and make it more efficient. And I think around 38% have already adopted the technology, and that's all, that's according to Deloitte, which has typically some fairly good statistics on this. One of those is QuantHealth, and QuantHealth essentially right now is aiming to take part with a model that predicts risks and outcomes for clinical trials. So the company's AI-powered platform for drug discovery claims to reduce potential risks, optimize clinical trials, and help identify how patients in a clinical trial would respond to treatment. This is really interesting and not something that we're always looking at, right? They're trying to essentially predict the patient's response before they even do the trial. Very interesting. So this is a Tel Aviv-based startup, and on Wednesday, they said that they are going to be raising, essentially, I guess they just raised a $15 million Series A funding round, which brings it to now around $20 million total that they have raised. And this is what they said about it. They said, with over 30 years of collective experience in life, science, and drug development, it was clear to us that the decreasing success rate of clinical trials were becoming untenable for the industry. So that's the co-founder and CEO, who is Or Inbar. And he also, cited Deloitte. He noted that return on investments have declined to historical lows, which is very, very interesting. So the differentiator claimed by QuantHealth's platform is one of the most extensive integrated data sets, which Inbar described as covering over 350 million patients and more than 700,000 biomedical graphs and clinical trials. So the company said the resulting model can predict clinical trial outcomes with a 86% accuracy on the binary endpoint metric. This is absolutely crazy. An 86% accuracy is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, obviously, this is a massive data set they were able to ingest here, right? 350 million patients, 700,000 biomedical graphs and clinical trials. This is a lot of really impressive data, and I think it's a really big hats off to them on being able to get such a high accuracy rate. So that actually means that the company predicts success or failure for a trial's primary endpoint or any other endpoint 86% of the time. So more than 90% of traditionally planned clinical trials fail to make it to market due to lack of efficiency and safety. So Inbar actually said, quote, "Some drugs just shouldn't go to trial, and for many that the trials are poorly designed. This causes the trials to take longer, cost more, and fail more often." So in a recent case study, QuantHealth actually helped a client design their phase 2 trial in acute respiratory distress syndrome. And they said, quote, "By simulating thousands of protocol variations, we were able to make minor amendments to their protocol that had far-reaching consequences by increasing the target population by 4.5x, reducing study duration by 11 months, reducing the number of participants required by 251, all while improving the likelihood of success for the primary endpoint by 16.5%. So this company was actually QuantHealth. I think this was founded back in 2020, which has been commercially active, I think, for the last 2 years. And it works for pharma, biotechnics, and clinical research organizations, supporting their programs on an ongoing basis, as well as regulators in the US and Europe. So back in June, QuantHealth announced its US expansion with executive appointments, including David Dornstrick, who is the Chief Commercial Officer and co-founder, Arnon Horev as Chief Strategy and Operations Officer. So the CEO said that the outfit has 25 employees in Israel, and the US is aiming to grow to 40 by next year. So Berkshire Mann Investment and Pidigo Health Tech co-led the Series A funding round, this $15 million that they just raised. And I think their existing backers, Shoney Top Ventures, Nita Capital, Nova Capital, also joined in the latest round. They followed on. So the new capital is going to be used to enable the startup to support clinical development teams with its flagship trial design solution and expand its platform for preclinical and drug discovery functions, as well as expand its commercial team and operations. As you know, I'm super excited and bullish on any use of AI in healthcare to help essentially increase patient outcomes. I think this is a really interesting space that they're tackling right here. Definitely there is a need in the market. Definitely this is a niche product that is going to help a lot of people. So I think this is definitely going to be a product that's very interesting to follow and to see how this is helping us develop faster, more effective, and safer drugs in the future.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. That's the sound of switching your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling. Harness the best converting checkout and same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Stop leaving sales on the table. Discover why millions trust Shopify to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech23.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast, where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.